Pacific Northwest is a region of the American continent that starts at the state of Oregon and goes up the west coast through Washington State, northern Idaho, and the Canadian province of British Columbia. The land and water in this area fought a battle a long time ago, and today, the result is called the Puget Sound, and it manifests through the region's many bays, islands, and channels. The largest metropolitan area of this region is Greater Seattle. Nestled somewhere between Seattle proper and Vancouver, Canada, is the little town of Laconer, about an hour drive north from Seattle on the banks of the Swinomish Channel. A quaint little gem, missed by most of the busy travelers in their haste to make good time to Vancouver or Seattle along the I-5 interstate. The town features nice little restaurants with tasty food and diverse cuisine, clubs with live music, shops with diverse woodwork and elegant clothing and jewelry, and gentle folks with a laid-back attitude and a broad smile. Every year, around the end of May, Laconer opens its community to another hidden gem. The luthiers from all over the world come here and exhibit their custom, innovative, handmade guitars. This year, 2024, it happened on the 17th, 18th, and 19th of May. I went last year to do a bit of recon and decided that this year I'd make a vlog on the experience of my time there. I spoke to 11 luthiers this year. I saw many guitars and had a somewhat cathartic experience. Each wood used in building the instruments has its own tonality and resonance. Each tool brings its own sharpness, abrasiveness, and smoothness to the process. It is also my belief that each luthier's curiosity, calm, anxiety, happiness, and perhaps even anger slips through the hands into the craftsmanship of making each instrument. And thus, each of them builds their instruments in their own likeness. So, in that room today, we spoke to gods and goddesses of their own shops, of their own worlds. And you see them being modest and grounded, tough and gentle, steady and excited at the same time. Nevertheless, the guitars were amazing, beautifully made, with sounds that give you goosebumps and melt your heart. So, stick around and enjoy the little conversations I had with some of the luthiers about their instruments, innovative ideas, challenges, and solutions they found to various problems they'd encountered making their guitars. I thoroughly enjoyed the experience and would like to thank all the luthiers that have given me a little bit of their time to share their wisdom. I apologize to those I haven't gotten around to talk to, and I promise I will get around to many more amazing craftsmen and women next year. I like to start with hold on 1 second. I'd like to start. What would you consider unique about your process of making guitars? What's something that you do?
Well, there are so many elements. I like to think that the main goal is to combine all the elements, and the more you combine by themselves, the best it will be the end result. So it's never one thing, but a combination of all the elements on a guitar. So my aim when I build a guitar is to build a very efficient box. So I aim to lightness. I want to build a lighter guitar every time, because I find lighter guitars to be lively. So they give you more frequencies, more response. They can be played with little effort, and they have tones of harmonics and color around when you play. So that's my philosophy, building wise. I try to be light. Yeah.
And so, talk us through, what does that mean? So, is it like a wood choice, or I know we've talked to a lot of different other guitarists about bracing. Is it like a bracing design?
I guess it's a combination of both of them. So, bracing has a strict relationship with the wood you choose and how you choose to work with that wood. So thickness, so you need to analyze the strength and how the wood is working under tension. Then, so I do a lot of like tests with weights, so I have an idea how the wood flex, and then I choose the kind of bracing, how thick, how tall. I do a lot of stuff like that.
Okay. And I've also noticed this guitar here. You've done. I've seen a couple of them, but it's a fan fret acoustic, which up until today I didn't think. I have a fan fret at home, but it's electric.
Yeah.
I didn't think this was like a thing that people did.
A lot of people like it, especially if you play finger picking and you like to use open tunings, or if you play blues and you go open D or drop D, so you have less tension on the bass side.
Yeah.
So if you do fan fret multi-scale, you have tension here even if you detune a little the bass. You can go D, you can go A, C, B, okay, and you still have good tension. So it's not too sloppy.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice solution even in acoustics, especially if it's played with that.
Is there here or just in general, is there a guitar that you think that you like the most, that you remember the most fondly?
One of mine?
Yeah.
I'm the type of father that likes more the last son. So this is my last, this is my best. I try always to get better. So I love to think that every guitar I make is a little bit better than the one before.
Okay.
So,
and how many guitars have you made?
And this is my number 74.
And how long have you been a luthier?
15 years. No, I'm not very productive. There are colleagues over there, they build a lot more. Yeah, but I normally build 6, 7 per year.
Okay.
Sometimes less, sometimes more.
Still pretty. It's more guitars than I build. So, all right. So I like to hear kind of stories of why people decide to get into this line of work. Why did you decide to be a luthier of all things in the world?
I guess everything started because I was a player, a guitarist, and I always loved acoustic guitars. So I was playing and I was like kind of bored of the industrial stuff. So I got the feeling that they were kind of the same, and they were not fulfilling my wishes. So I went to look for a luthier-made guitar, but they were really expensive to my pocket. So instead of buying a guitar, I bought a book. I read it, and it was about guitar making. So then I bought another, and I got into the stuff. So then I decided to buy some woods, and that's how everything started. Then so I just made one guitar, and I sold it has been sold, so I made another one. And then all of a sudden I decided it was a good job for me, so I decided to be a Luca.
Hell yeah. I mean, at the risk of sounding negative a little bit, is there a part of guitar making that challenges you, that you struggle with? What do you like the least about it?
No, I'm okay with that. I mean, I don't have any part that I don't like. I do everything from all the woods to the finishing and stuff. Also because I live in a little island, so I got no choice. I can't ship out the guitar to Canada to be finished to the States. So over there are no finishers. So I had to learn to finish a guitar too, and I kind of enjoy it. I have control on all the steps, and I like it. So I can do what I want. Yeah, about thickness of finishes and stuff. I'll do it all by hand. I don't use CNC. All is handmade from start to finish.
Okay, it's impressive. Yeah. Well, I'm out of questions. Thank you for talking to us, Luca.
Thanks to you.
Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
What's unique about your approach to making guitars?
My approach?
Like, what do you do differently?
What do I do that's different? Well, I borrow a lot, from the other masters that are around, as we all do. But I take ideas from several and kind of combine them. For instance, this bracing pattern here, it's not my original idea, but it had never been applied to a multi-scale guitar before. So I had to kind of morph this around to line up with this bridge angle here. Now, I like to measure everything, so I tap and I use computers and I figure out what is the resonant frequency of all the parts so that I can get some optimum sound. Sound is the very primary goal. Right. Looks is secondary. Looks is what gets people looking at it, but sound sound is what makes them stay.
Well, definitely, it's interesting because I have a multi-scale at home, but I've never seen a multi-scale done on an acoustic.
Yeah.
Is that
especially a 12 range?
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely
Scorpio guitars.
different. Did you just see the idea and you were just like, I've never seen that on
I've seen that on electric guitars.
yeah.
I've not seen that on many acoustics, but there are a few out there.
A couple, yeah.
I always wanted to try one. So I made one. And I was amazed. I thought, well, this is going to take a little getting used to. No, it's natural.
Okay.
The very first time I played it, I thought, I'm sure I'm going to mess up this song somewhere because I'm not used to that. Not a hitch.
Yeah.
I had people pick it up and start playing it, and they said, oh, I didn't realize this was a fan fret. It doesn't even feel like it. So it's a very natural feel. It's extremely comfortable to play.
Right, yeah. Another thing that's standing out to me is when you got here, this feature. Can you talk to us about that? What's up with this?
This is, and that's the back of it, and the front is, there it is. So this was a special request from a customer that wanted a baritone ukulele with 5 strings on the neck, plus 4 sub bass. She couldn't find it anywhere in the world, and I raised my hand. I said, "I'll make you one," and I had never made one before. But I assured her. I said, "If you give me a chance, I will make you one risk-free. So if you don't like it, you owe me nothing." And she loves it. So that's kind of how I like to do business. You know, I like to make sure that everyone who comes to me feels completely comfortable. You know, you go to a stranger and you try and give them money, and everyone gets a little nervous about that. Yeah, it's natural. So I try and take that out of the equation. I only ask for a very small down payment, and it's a deposit, and they get it. I give them 90 days to decide whether or not they want to keep it. Back there, is that what you're doing? And if they don't, full refund as long as you don't damage it. I want it to be a happy and friendly relationship. A busy day. Right. And so those are my philosophies. As far as building, I'm in the pursuit of perfection and just waiting to reach it.
I love that. I mean, I guess that actually kind of brings me to what kind of, if you don't mind, I like hearing people's kind of like origin stories, I guess. What made you decide you wanted to be
origin stories? Okay, well, I don't know. I've been enamored with wood since I was a kid. I was a kid, I'd go out and play with the trees and nail stuff together, make tree houses, but I couldn't afford the tools. My dad didn't know anything about woodworking, so I didn't really get a lot of good exposure when I was younger. But I grew up, moved away, and I started trying to collect some woodworking tools and try to learn more about it. But it's hard when you're young, to afford the decent tools. So I kind of gave up on my dream for a while, but I took up some other hobbies like scuba diving and started going off to some exotic locations. And every time I brought home something that some artisan had made out of wood. I'm just drawn to it, and later life, after my kids grew up, I found that I had the time and I had the money to go out and get the proper tooling, get the proper schooling. I traveled around the country and went to other luthier shops and had them teach me, how do you make a guitar? How do you make a guitar sound really good? I even studied under Larry Robinson, so I learned about inlay from him directly.
Larry Robinson, what?
Larry Robinson. He's a world-renowned inlay artist.
Okay.
Does shell inlays. And I learned how to do it. I'm not even going to try to reproduce some of his crazy inlays. I invite you to look up the name and see what he's done.
I'm sure I've seen it, I'm not familiar with it.
He literally wrote the book on inlay.
Inlay.
He's got a book published out there on how to do it. Interesting man. Again, it was like a lifelong dream where I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I'm still trying to figure that out, but I think maybe I may have found it here.
But it's obviously going pretty well, I'd say. Do you have any guitar from up here or from your catalog? Do you remember any guitar like really fondly? Do you have like a favorite, I guess?
My latest is always my favorite.
Your latest? Well, do you have your latest? This one right here?
This was my latest, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it's the one that I guess kind of, again, acoustic fanfare.
Yeah.
What's going on?
This one has the best sound that I've heard out of anything I've done before. So now this is currently my favorite. But I hope to hope to surpass that.
Okay.
So I'm constantly trying to improve and just have fun along the way.
Yeah. Solid. Is there like a part of being a luthier that you like maybe the least? Just like anything that challenges you particularly that you just fretwork. Okay.
I'm getting better at it, but it's a frustrating process because it's more time consuming than I think it needs to be.
Well, how that actually brings me. How long have you been doing?
I built my first guitar about 12 and a half years ago. And it was just a hobby. I had a daytime job, so I worked on it part-time. Friends, family would say, "Oh, you should get one of his guitars." I make a lot of ukuleles as well. And then I finally decided I love this more than my day job. I thought I have enough in savings, so I actually handed in my resignation and went full-time 2 years ago.
All right. Well, solid. I'm out of questions, but thank you for making the time to talk to us. Appreciate it. Very, very cool guitar.
It's a pleasure.
Pleasure,
Thank
man.
you.
Thanks for speaking to us. Good one. I'd like to start with what's unique about your approach to making guitars? What do you do different?
Oh, well, what I do different, I do try to, first of all, I did learn with Sergey Dion, which is a guitar builder in Canada, very well known, back in 2011. So at the beginning you know nothing, and so I did follow his instruction exactly what he was saying. So after a few years of building up, after a few guitars, I was able to do small changes and try to see what those changes were going to ended up when the guitar was finished. So other than that, I'm just trying to follow my intuition and see what's going on. So I don't think I do nothing unique. I just trying to find my way to get the result I want.
Okay. Well, so you mentioned it was almost like a protege type system that you were working with.
An apprenticeship, maybe.
Yeah, I did
something like that. Yeah. But so what tweaks did you find? Well, if you can talk about them, obviously, but like what tweaks did you find were like, oh, if I don't know. One thing, for example, that I've noticed a lot here in terms of the technical aspect of building guitars is like the bracing. Everyone's has some unique spin on it. Is there anything like that you do? Or
I don't know unique, but I did start playing with braces and do change small things at the time, and I've heard changing in terms of sound, so I'm going to pursue that path. So I keep developing some changing, and I'm sure I will do more in the future, just to see.
Of course.
What?
So I guess that kind of brings me. You touched on it briefly. How long have you been a luthier?
Well, full time since 2016, and I started apprentice in 2011.
Okay.
So it took me a few years at the beginning to be able to do that just for a living.
Okay. And how many guitars would you say you've made? So like
Until from 2011.
from when you started?
Yeah, 55th. This is my
55th guitar. All right.
Number 55.
Yeah.
Is there a guitar that you maybe remember more fondly than other guitars, or a favorite?
Well, there has been quite a few guitars to have more character than the others. Well, I cannot point one of. I have been
One exact.
few. Yeah, no,
Of
one
course.
exact. Yeah.
Understood. Yeah. All right. What would you say is like the biggest challenge you face? Maybe what is like the thing that you struggle with the most?
Doing this for a living.
Yeah. So
From zero, from no one in my family, no one knew me in the market. So at the beginning it's very, very hard. You have to believe in yourself because nobody else is doing it. And
yeah.
that's the hardest part because I do love my job, but what's the point if you just nobody use your work and your guitars?
so kind of breaking out of the all right. Do you mind? This is I assume your piece. Can you talk to us about like what about this guitar is like what like wood choices? Why did you choose?
So this is I call this the wedge model because of Linda Manzer wedge body. Do you know her? Okay, she's a master. She's the queen of guitar making, and she was the first woman guitar making in the industry, not industry, but in the handmade guitars back then. And so she ended up with this idea of, for ergonomic, doing the lower side of the guitar wider and the upper side of the guitar narrower. So this way, even if you have a big body, big lower bout, you can have still comfortable to play the guitar.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So I called this model the wedge, in her honor. And this one is made by Wingert back and sides.
Okay.
And Italian spruce top. I'm from Italy, so it has mahogany sapelli back and sides. Neck. Figured one. This one has a very nice figure. And then I did play with some details like the back strip with the round edges. Same.
That's inlaid wood.
Inlaid, yeah. Same theme for the markers, fretboard marks, and same for the truss. Yeah.
Very pretty.
Thank you.
I am out of questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. And what's your
Thank you.
name?
Ovidio.
Video.
Ovidio.
Ovidio.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Dove Solighetto?
North of Venice,
Ok.
45 minutes.
Sono andato all'Italia per 1 anno e 2 mesi. Ho lavorato con Fiat in Turin, in Torino.
Ok.
Sì.
4 ore a est.
Piacere.
Piacere mio, grazie.
Grazie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice. Yeah. Great.
Alex, yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I guess we'll start with asking, what would you consider is unique about your approach to making guitars? What do you do differently?
Honestly, nothing I do is unique. I never started out to be innovative or unique. I only wanted to build guitars that were consistently good. There were plenty of great guitars. When I started building, there were plenty of great factory guitars available, but not all of them in a batch were great. There were great ones kind of on a bell curve. There were great ones on the top, mediums in the middle, some bad ones at the bottom. I just wanted to, instead of building to a spec, I wanted to take guitar materials, feel them, know them, love them, and make the best guitar I could out of that particular pile of wood.
Okay, so you are concerned more with the consistency of
getting the best out of each particular piece, rather than just building to a certain spec or standard and hoping that this was one of the good ones.
Okay. Right, and so you mentioned you worked do you have a history of working in like a bigger manufacturing setting?
No. I started learning in the library, actually, and then I was able to get a job at a good guitar repair shop, really good guitar repair shop. Lots of good builders were there. Saul Cole was one of them. T.B. Jones, who ended up making pickups and things that are perfect Gretsch replicas and are sold by Stu Mac and others. And a couple of really good repairmen. And my boss was a specialist with violins and double basses.
Oh, okay.
And he had apprenticed with a classical guitar maker, so it was a good shop to learn in.
Interesting. And so, how long have you been doing this then? How long have you been?
About 28 years now.
28 years. Wow. Okay. How many guitars have you made?
Just under 250, and I forget how many under 250, but I know I haven't hit it yet.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot. Is there a guitar? It doesn't have to be anyone that you have here, or could be, who knows, but is there a guitar that you remember fondly at all that stands out in your mind?
Yeah, the one I remember most fondly, I actually still own. It's not the world's best looking guitar. A couple of aesthetic mistakes were made on it, but it is a good sounding guitar. And the other guitar that stands out in my memory is the most difficult, uncooperative, worst guitar that I've ever made, and it is beautiful. So I've never let it go, and over the years I have, if a brace could be reached, I got in there and changed it. Anything that could be done to that guitar, I've done. And it's much better now, but it is not my best guitar, but I sure learned a lot of things doing all those little changes.
Wow. And you still own both of those guitars?
I do.
Wow. Okay. Well, so I guess that kind of brings me to what are maybe some struggles that you have? Like, what's the thing you find most challenging?
As a luthier?
Yeah.
Cash flow. I mean, there's always that thing between I can't rush, I won't rush. And so, things can't leave the shop until they're actually ready. Life gets in the way sometimes. So it's just that sort of thing.
Okay.
Because I can't send things out until they're actually ready.
Right, of course.
And sometimes I'm pretty hungry for that paycheck.
Yeah. Well, so then let's talk about, because put a lot of emphasis on craftsmanship. Then this guitar here kind of stood out to me visually, at least. This one. Is this one of yours? Or?
Oh yeah.
Do you mind like talking about it? What sort of
not at all.
Things? Any specs, wood choices, anything like that?
I'm not sure I've made it to 6 though.
This one is a Swiss spruce top.
No, he doesn't.
Most people call it moon spruce. I got it from the same dealer, but supposedly it was harvested only at one time a year with dancing maidens in attendance. And bindings are ebony, a little bit of a bevel. Brazilian rosewood back and sides.
Oh, wow.
Really nice Brazilian from my very old stash. And my half moon volute. And let's see, what do they call those? Black Cosmo tuners from Godo to go with the Black Mother of Pearl rosette. This is my daughter's design. She's made several of these for me. We now send them out to be made. They're kind of a waste of her time with all of the beautiful work she's able to do.
It's very, very nice. Is it, do you do anything? I know we've talked to a lot of other luthiers here about, for example, like one of the big things that a lot of people like to change is like racing patterns and stuff like that. Is there anything that you do that's like
Honestly, no. Martin left us no mysteries to solve, and so my bracing started off using the Martin X pattern. Of course, it's morphed over time to be my recipe because my angle at the joint at the X brace may be a little different, or where I've decided to place that X over time. Those things have morphed a little bit. But in general, all throughout my career, at least on steel string guitars, it's been Martin X bracing all the way. My braces do not resemble those theirs in profiling at all anymore. But no, like I said, I never set out to be innovative. I wanted to make a good sounding guitar that sounded like the guitar people expect. I just wanted to slightly elevate the chances that it would be a good one.
I am out of questions. Thank you so much for speaking with us. I hope that you get a sale or two.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Painless. Thank you.
Let me take like a few shots.
You have a fun time? Or tiring time?
Definitely. As long as it doesn't topple or get pressed into that stand so the stand breaks, I'm happy.
You make the stand?
No, but look. This part here is only this thick and it's along the grain. And that's a pressure point. Discovered that the hard way at a show.
Okay, well, as I told you before, if you need any help, you have my phone number.
Thank you. I think I got it under control. I just have the 2 guitars to take today. I'm going to drop them off at my...
Do you have a motorhome or something?
No.
A van? Or you said you stayed...
I have my car with me because I drove up.
Right.
And then I am going camping with the dogs.
Okay.
So I built a sleeping platform. It's car by car.
So where did you stay? You at the casino?
I'm at the Fidalgo Country Inn. I'm not camping now. I'm going to camp later.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know the name of that. That's near the casino though, right?
No, it's near the roundabout where you meet up with 20. I-20.
Okay.
20.
Oh, I know where it is. Okay, well, I'm going to go home.
Just take it right.
Take care of it.
So, you didn't leave anything.
Thank you very much.
What would you say is unique about your approach to making guitars?
unique? That's a real good question, because a lot of what luthiers do is very, very similar. We have similar techniques, procedures for getting tone. I did not go to a luthier school. I guess you're what you might call self-taught. And that takes longer, but I've been at it for a long, long time now, so I've about learned what to do. As far as unique is concerned, well, I do one of the things I do is anymore my fingerboard extension floats over the top, doesn't touch the top. That lets the top be freer to make sound in order to keep that internal block from rotating. I don't put any braces or anything like that there. Well, some small finger braces. But I put those carbon fiber rods that go from the top of this block down to the side, and that distributes the load down here where it can take it. So I guess that's unique. My next bolt on, and that means that it's easy to adjust the neck. If you happen to have a neck set like eventually most guitars do, you can just unbolt it, set the neck, bolt it back down, and you're ready to go, and it's just very quick. Okay. This guitar right here is made out of walnut. I'll just show you the back.
It's just fantastic.
And walnut sometimes can be a little less musical than I want it to be. This is the case in this back right here. So I went into the bracing pattern and put a, what's a good word for that? Well, a lattice work bracing pattern on the back. You can see it, small braces crisscrossing, and then capped each one with rosewood, and that stiffens the back up nicely and it makes it a good response in the back. So just kind of compensate for, and that's what I typically do. You know, if wood needs a particular piece of wood needs something, I have my ways of dealing with wood to get it to behave itself.
Yeah. So normally, if I'm understanding correctly, most people would brace up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Very interesting. Yeah, and we've also we've talked to some other luthiers around here. They've also kind of said the same thing about walnut not being the most sonically responsive wood. Do you get that? Do you notice like a sonic, like a sound?
Oh yeah.
Increasing quality?
In walnut or just in general?
In this particular guitar, like, why did you decide to work with this particular piece of wood?
Well, I like this wood because it's gorgeous. It's just drop dead gorgeous. Really pretty. And so that got me started on it, and then got the back all glued up and everything and started tapping around on it. And I was like, well, it could be improved a little bit. And so that's what I went and did. So that's typically I don't have to do that. Usually I just use a straight ladder brace back, but if the back needs it, then I'll do it.
I was about to point, the first thing that stood out to me personally is these inlays are really, really cool.
Thanks. This is a piece of firewood that I found in my firewood stash.
Really?
Yeah, that's oak. And it had some spalting in it, and I thought, well, that might be kind of pretty. So I used it there, I used it here.
And that's all the same piece of firewood?
Yeah, and then right there on the back, same piece.
Okay, interesting. This looks like some serious craftsmanship. How long have you been a luthier? How long have you been doing this?
I started about 50 years ago.
All right. Wow. How many guitars have you made?
I've made almost 200.
Congrats, yeah. What made you decide to start doing this?
Well, I've always liked the guitar very well. My brother and I were visiting. He was visiting me in Atlanta, and we went to a guitar shop that was run by a guy named Jay Ryan, R-H-Y-N-E, who had a shop where he made handmade guitars. And we got to watching and looking and said, this is astounding. We didn't think it could be done outside of a factory. But he proved us otherwise, and we got hooked.
Makes sense. Yeah. What do you find the most challenging on your side? What do you struggle with the most on?
It's always difficult to fit the neck to the body and get the angle just right. You've got to get it this way, that way. So it's a three-dimensional puzzle, and that's tedious. I mean, it's not that it can't be done; it's just tedious. What else? Yeah, I guess that's the number one tedious operation. I'll sometimes spend a day just getting the neck right.
Makes sense. Well, I am out of questions. Thank you so much for your time, Matt.
Quite well.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Let's start. I can see already a couple things off the bat that intrigue me, but what would you consider to be unique about your approach to making guitars? What would be different?
Sure. I come from a repair background, so I get to see a lot of vintage guitars, some of the failure points, and how that design leads to repairs 10, 20, 30, 50 years later. So that's influenced the way that I build my guitars.
Okay.
One of the main ways you can see that is with my Halo bolt-on system. Yeah. So this is a tool-free bolt-on neck. So I can just reach my hand in there, unscrew that, and take the neck off in about 30 seconds. I'm not introducing heat and steam to the neck joint. There's no risk of that damage. I can just take the neck off, make whatever adjustments need to happen, put it right back on.
Wow. Yeah. All right. And so let's talk, I guess, a little bit more about that. So you've noticed, so your repair background, when you change necks on a guitar, first of all, most acoustic guitars, you can't change the necks, but so you're saying it introduces humidity or it's like into the...
Yeah, so if you have like a Martin guitar, it's a dovetail joint that's glued together. So you have to drill a hole, pump it full of steam until the glue softens, and pull the neck off. That steam, it causes parts of the wood to swell. Some parts may swell more than others. You might get cracking. You can get what's called blushing in the finish, where it goes all cloudy. Those are all things you don't want to happen to your guitar. So with this, there's no glue in there. It just pops off. There's no risk of damage ever. You can make any adjustments that need to happen so that the action is nice and low. Put it right back on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you notice a significant weight increase or anything like that with this? Because that's
yeah, it's not significant. That's an aluminum knob, so it's not incredibly heavy. But given the overall weight of the guitar, it doesn't really affect it too much. And even so, for instance, some guitars, this guitar has a very long neck. So it would tend to be a little neck heavy, it would tend to dive a little bit. Yeah. So adding a little weight there actually makes it a little more balanced.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then, so also I see you made the choice typically the sound hole for guitars here. This is moved up here. Does that change anything about the sound significance?
It does. So there's a lot of tension on the strings, obviously. So this area is crucial for keeping that tension, making sure it resonates. So if you cut a big hole in there, you're weakening that significantly, and you've got to add bracing. You've got to add a lot of reinforcement. Without having a hole there, I don't need nearly as much bracing. I can build the top a lot lighter, and so it's more responsive. There's more vibrations, and it gives a louder sound. And having the sound hole there, it pushes a lot of the air and the very bright focused tones away from you. And what the player experiences is a very resonant tone. On a standard guitar, you're used to hearing both that and the sound waves from the air, so it's a different experience, and you can definitely notice the change in sound. So I just tell everybody, try it, play it, see if you think you like it, because it is different.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was going to ask, would you be all right with us?
Absolutely. Yeah, please do.
All right. Yeah. Well,
so this is a baritone guitar. It's tuned to open C right now. This one's tuned to standard though.
It's tuned to standard.
Yeah, and so is that one. So whichever one you want.
Sure. Well, we can probably do that towards the end. But I was actually going to ask. So we've also heard. We've talked to a lot of other people here about one of the big things a lot of people do to differentiate themselves in this line of work is changing up bracing.
Yeah.
Obviously with this, it's like a whole different ballpark of guitars. So you mentioned already you can take out a lot of the weight by just the sound will be moved up there.
Yeah.
So is that the only thing you change, or is that...
So yeah, this bracing isn't necessarily standard. There is, and you might be able to see if you put the camera there, there's a huge brace that runs right across the waist here. And what that does is it cuts the soundboard in half. So pretty much everything above that isn't resonated. It's kind of just dead space. But everything below that is much lighter. So basically it's just cutting the soundboard into more of a circle. And instead of using an X brace, you need an X brace if you have a round sound hole. But I use a V brace. So it's very much, it goes along the lines of the tension. So I don't need nearly as much of it.
Okay.
And it also, the V brace allows more twisting motion of the bridge. So there's generally 3 different ways the bridge can vibrate. It can vibrate in and out like a diaphragm. It can vibrate this way, and it can vibrate that way. So because most of my bracing is this way, it goes that way a lot. And that gives you a lot of resonance, a lot of bass response.
So you also mentioned you come from a repair shop background. How long have you been doing this for?
On and off for about 10 years, and I've been doing this on my own for 2 years.
Oh, okay. How many? Not just maybe of this model, but like how many guitars have you made?
Probably. I mean, if you include, like, I've made a bunch of ukuleles, I've made some electric guitars, and like some cigar box guitars. So in total, probably like 20, 25 instruments. The actual guitars, I think this is number 14.
Oh, so, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still kind of new to this. There's some guys that have been doing this for a long time here.
All right.
Yeah.
Is there a guitar or any instrument really that stands out to you? Not just here, but in general?
That's a great question. I'm trying to remember if it's here. There's a guitar that I played that was it's a 9-string guitar, so it's basically half a 12-string guitar, so the top 3 strings were doubled up in octaves, and that was just a ton of fun, because you got a lot of the brightness and the jingle of a 12-string, but you still got clean tones from the bass notes. Yeah, okay. It was really nice.
All right. Yeah. Would you consider your biggest challenge? Like, what's the hardest thing you?
probably, I mean, there's a lot of things that are hard. I think if you talk to any luthier, they'll say the most important thing is learning how to solve problems. And there's very few guitars in this room that don't have a few problems that had to be fixed. Learning new techniques and figuring out solutions when things go wrong is probably one of the hardest parts, because there's no guitar that goes perfectly from beginning to end. That just doesn't happen unless you're in a factory and they don't really care.
Yeah, of course, everything's built to spec.
Yeah.
Right, well, I think I'm out of questions. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Yeah, absolutely. No, please play whichever one you want. You're welcome to go to one of the quiet rooms.
You can just probably take
chairs over there too.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank
you. Thank you very much. We'll be back.
would you consider to be you guys' like what makes your approach to building guitars unique? What do you guys do different?
If anything,
Yeah, if anything, learning from the foundation fathers, actually, you know, and putting guitars together and trying to come up with something that's responsive and that the player can put in their hands and really make beautiful artwork, you know. And so with me, just working on some shapes, more modern shapes, and also then building that off of ones like Samaji. I really learned a lot from his books, even digging into what it takes to make a responsive guitar. So.
Yeah, actually, that's kind of the first thing I noticed with you guys was that it looks not like an acoustic guitar. So what kind of is it just purely like a artistic thing? Is it ergonomic? Like what made you choose this kind of design body shape?
Actually, I went with ergonomics really to make this a more comfortable guitar to play, especially sitting down. So I wanted something a little smaller, something that fits under your arm well. So it's an OM size, a 15-inch lower bout. I always put an arm bevel on them to give you a little more space, make that a little more comfortable, and the cutaway as well, just so you can play up a little higher on the frets and things. And so, yeah, it's also nice compact, but it also has a nice deep voice to it. So get the basses out of it, it's responsive, even though it's a small guitar.
And this one here, this is just a lacquer, the purple color.
This is natural Purple Heart.
Oh, that's okay. That's just actual purple.
Yep. This is. I made it to match your sweater here today. So
let's go.
Actually, I saw this wood, and I saw. You know, I've built with Purple Heart before, but I've never seen it have that kind of figure before, where it just dances in the light. And I told my wife I've got a crazy idea to build a purple guitar. What do you think? She says, I think it'd be a great idea. So it's been a wonderful response to it. It's amazing, you know, people want to see something different, and you know that's about as wild as it gets. So it's had a good response to how people love how beautiful it sounds, and it actually makes a great guitar. So won't be my last, that's for sure. But yeah, it's kind of fun, something different.
Yeah. Is there? Let's discuss. How long have you been doing this?
This is about my 10th year. So I started in 2014 with the first guitar, finished in 2015. So come up on 10 years.
How many instruments have you got?
This is, I think, 18 and 19. So, yeah. Just getting into sharing with the world. So I think you end up having so many hanging on your walls and with your friends and things, and you gotta start sharing it with people. So, so take that next step and get the chance to come to a show like this and have people play your guitars. It's pretty fun. So.
For sure. Do you have any, not just here, but like any guitar or instrument that you've made particularly fond memories of?
You know, it's always the next one. You're building it, you're thinking in your head, okay, you know, I've had a blast with this over this last 6 months or so. The purple, you know, just explosion in my shop. Every time I turn around, the shavings are purple and those kind of things. And my favorite color is red, so I'm thinking, man, next one, I love Coa, it's always my favorite wood. It shines so well, but a little bit of red highlights or something just to kind of make it pop and maybe bring that color for the next show comes around. So that's what's in my mind, something constantly going, what's next?
All right, awesome. So what made you want to be a wood fan? This is awesome. I want to do this.
Yeah, you know, I've been a woodworker since I was in middle school, basically, and so I was best friends with the shop teacher in high school. I would go in before school and after school, and even knocked on his door just the other day. I haven't seen him in a few years, but to see how he was doing. It's been 30 years since I've been out of school, but I've built all kinds of furniture, kayaks, cedar kayaks, and got a book one day that, you know, I want to build a guitar and see how it goes from there, and so that's snowballed into this.
Okay, awesome. Is there anything you consider like particularly challenging? Like what's the hardest thing you do?
Probably finishes at this point for me. I think, you know, just to really get the finish to pop and to just be so glossy and that you just can't, you know, set it down, and to get that, you know, with the scratch freeze and things, it just takes time, and it's, for me, the woodworking is just the glorious and the fun, but the finishing it, just getting it there so that it catches your eye.
The part that takes the most time.
Yeah, still just work in progress, I guess. So,
all right.
Point where I'll be happy with it.
Good, yeah. Well, I'm out of official, actual interview questions. Would you mind if we got to play?
I would love if you play them. Yeah, go right ahead. I'll back off and help yourself. Start with the purple with that sweater on.
Are these inlays made from the same dragon, purple dragon? Oh wow. I feel like Prince right now. This is awesome. It's a lot bigger on the high end. A lot of the guitars I played today are very like bass heavy, which is cool, but it's a little different. Is this like a typical? Because I don't know this is a very standout. Why don't more people work with Dragonheart? Is it just like a rare wood, or just?
It's not really all that rare. This figure is rare. Like I've never seen this figure before. I've had that said to me multiple times. I've never seen that figure before, and so it's usually just a lot more plain. And yeah, just I guess they're scared of purple.
Scared of purple.
They're scared of the color, I guess.
Yeah.
But everyone's loved it. Yeah, it's gotta see that thing. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for letting me play. Thank you so much for talking about.